Hello, Internet. So I am finally getting around to making this video about my top 10 favorite bassists, or probably something like top 20 because of the honorable mentions. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with bass. I suck at it, much like everything else. But at least it's kind of fun. So anyways. Okay, I took so long making this video because life happens, My father's been in and out of the hospital, nearly dying, and same with my sister, she's I'm not gonna actually get into that, this isn't a therapy session, but just thoughts and prayers and good vibes are always appreciated. But so um anyways favorite basis, let's see if I remember how to do this. Anyway, so honorable mentions, you know because I guess I grew up watching Watch Mojo and they always did that. So yeah, anyways, Flea or Jason Newsted, you know I just love the silence of his bass from Injustice for All is truly revolutionary. But on a more serious note, like from the Black Album, he was really good. But Rex Brown of Pantera, a lot of people always talk about Zach Wilde or Vinnie Paul or Zach Wilde for the reunion or whatever. But everyone always wants to talk about Dimebag or Vinnie, but I don't know. Rex is always really good, But anyway, Steve Harris, Sting, Geddy Lee, Ryan Martini, and Justin Chancellor. Those would be the honorable mentions. I know I'm messing up and pausing a lot, but I'm gonna try to do this all in one take, and show you how authentic I am. I mess up, I fail, because I am a human. I am new at this, and I don't know. Hopefully this gives other people courage to try to do this and do something productive with their lives like I'm trying to do. But anyways, so actual, top 10 favorite bassists, getting into it, and something that I should have done for my favorite drummers video, I'm actually going to list off what is my favorite song that they've done, but anyways, so number 10 is Les Claypool, of Primus. And my favorite song of his that he's done is My Name is Mud. Yeah, I know you can say that's kind of basic, but I mean, it's Les Claypool, he's awesome, And yeah, Primus is awesome. My Name is Mud is awesome. And yeah, there's been a lot of stuff on my mind. I'm very troubled and I'm blanking a lot. Anyways, I would love to say like something like deep and profound, but I just can't think. Anyways, number 9 would be Fieldy of Korn. Korn is one of my favorite bands ever. Like a lot of, the youth, the middlehood youth, Korn got me through a lot of tough times, and Fieldy, just his bass really stuck out. It is just so amazing, just how down-tuned it is, and just, I don't know, twangy or clicky. I don't know how you would properly snappy. I don't know, just it is amazing. It just sticks out the most. Anyways, my favorite song that Fieldy has done with Korn is really hard that I can think of off the top of my head. My favorite like bass work for him, at least with Korn, would either have to be Ball Tongue or Got the Life, And hearing both of those two songs live last year in Camden, New Jersey was amazing. Anyways, number 8 would be Robert Trujillo, I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right, of Metallica and Black Label Society and Suicidal Tendencies. But anyways, Robert Trujillo, he's really good. He's not as good as the other person we're going to get into later. So, there's your little spoiler. Wink, wink. I hope I'm doing that right. I'm very stupid. Anyways, Robert Trujillo, really good. I got to see Metallica in May of this year, 2025 in Philly. And, hearing and seeing Robert Trujillo play bass live was absolutely amazing, and yeah, my favorite work that he's done bass on would probably be All Nightmare Long with Metallica. That whole record, Death Magnetic, that is, I love that. I know a lot of people don't give that record, Death Magnetic, just enough praise as it deserves. It is truly one of the best Metallica albums, in my humble opinion. Granted, it might be sort of like where I was in my life and how influential that was to me, but, Robert Teo is really, really, really good. You know, he is the next best to Cliff Burton. Um, Anyways, moving on up to number 7 is, of course, Lemmy. I mean, come on, you knew he was gonna be here. Um, there's nothing else I can say about Lemmy that hasn't already been said. Um, yeah, like I could just add in so much about Lemmy, so much praise, but it's like it's gonna be stuff you've heard from like 1,000 other people before. None of it is going to be unique. My favorite bass work that he's done is probably Overkill. It's hard to pick between Overkill and The Game and Ace of Spades and Orgasmatron. But Lemmy, Motorhead, it is awesome, or they're awesome. Anyways, moving on up to number 6 would be Geezer Butler. You know, I know it's kind of a hot take, but I don't know, listening to Black Sabbath, the bass, Geezer Butler has always stood out to me a lot more than Tony Iommi. Tony Iommi is absolutely amazing and great. However, just, I don't know, the bass, just, it is so thick, so nice, so sharp. It just hits you with a sledgehammer from how amazing it is. Anyways, my favorite song that Geezer Butler's done, which is also one of my favorite songs in general, one of my favorite openings to a song ever, and without a doubt my favorite Black Sabbath song, is Nativity in Black, NIB. Favorite bass work, honestly, out of any song ever, but definitely for, Geezer Butler. Going on up to number 5 would be John. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Johnny Health. Johnny Boy from Health. They're an amazing band. I know they're probably the most obscure that I've slapped down here. And please go do yourself a favor. Go listen to Health. They are an amazing band full of amazing people. I cannot praise them enough. A couple of years ago, one of my friends had told me to listen to Health, and I just kind of brushed it off, and then he told me, he's like, oh yeah, Johnny Boy, their bassist, has such an amazing fan outreach that he tries to meet like every fan after a show, does the live streams and calls. And I've talked to him on the phone before. He is really cool, and he is an amazing bassist. A favorite song would, I don't know, it's hard between DSM 5 or DSM 3, and crack metal maybe. I don't know, it's really hard. They're an amazing band. He's an amazing artist. Um Anyways, number 4 is Shavo Odagian. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, from System of a Down. you know and here's where, the top 5 is where it gets really hard, and where it really kind of tosses around back and forth between who might be number 1. But Shavo of System of a Down, is beautiful. His bass work is, ooh, it is perfect. He is one of the greatest bass players of all time. And I cannot just scream praises to that man enough. Please listen to System of a Down. Anyways, favorite song of Shavo's bass work. It's hard, but it's probably Pluck. I would, spell out what Pluck stands for, like I did for NIB, but I cannot quite remember, and I don't want to embarrass myself even more than what I already am. Because life is really hard, and I'm thinking a lot of really bad things. Anyways, so Number 3 is Cliff Burton, Metallica. Yeah, again, what else can I say that hasn't already been said? Cliff Burton is the man, the myth, the legend that unfortunately was lost too soon. I really want to say something profound and unique, but I cannot think of anything, and I am sorry. I'm trying my best, but I'm gonna get better, right? I'm gonna hopefully slap up some cool, funny things to make up for all of this. Anyways, Cliff Burton, just one of the greatest things. My favorite bass work for him, it's really hard to pick. The thing that honestly gets stuck in my head the most is probably the thing that should not be. The ending of that song just ooh, it hits me the most. It hits me like like 1,000 sledgehammers all at once. Which, hey, hammer, Cliff Burton, he loved hammers. Would carry around one a lot, everywhere he went. But anyways, Cliff Burton, thing that should not be is probably my favorite bass work of his. But again, it's really hard because there's also Creeping Death and so many others. But number 2 is another time I'm going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce a name. It's probably not going to be the last time I embarrass myself, unless, some bad happens to me. But anyways, so number 2 is Adi Patir. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but I'm human. So are you. I'm not some well-oiled machine like other YouTubers that you might start to think that are like robots and aren't real because of just how perfect they are, how they, never pause to breathe, But anyways, number 2 is Adi Patir of Acid Bath, one of my favorite bands of all time. The best sludge band, best sludge metal band. I'm really trying not to blink. I know I kind of did, and I messed this up, and my eyes are starting to burn. It feels like they're taking an acid bath right now. Ah, damn it. Anyways, so Adi Patir, acid bath, absolutely amazing. A couple years ago, I saw that Anthony Fantano, the needle dropped the best teeth in the game. Unlike me, I have the worst. But anyways, I saw that he did a sludge metal starter pack. Long before the Dahmer series. Long before people started to simp over serial killers. He did a sludge metal packed or starter pack thing, and he said about acid bath. And so I checked him out, and his bass work is holy shit. It is honestly, he might be the number one. He and the actual number one, it honestly depends on the day. It depends on the mood. Who's my favorite? But yeah, my favorite work for Adi Patir is either Cassie Eats Cockroaches or Finger Paintings of the Insane or Scream of the Butterfly or Bleed Me an Ocean. He is just a mastermind. He is an amazing bassist, and I cannot love him enough. I would inject that shit into my veins. Anyways, number 1, if you can't tell, Peter Steele, Type O Negative, Carnivore. Yeah, not talking about him as a person and how much he had wild opinions that were either real opinions or just jokes that he did with people, like I heard that I hope. Anyways, Peter Steele, amazing musician. Of course, one of my favorite vocalists, and whenever I do my vocalist thing, later, whenever that may be, I will be talking about him again. But Peter Steele on bass is just a monster. It is one of the greatest musicians ever, one of the greatest people to ever touch an instrument. Just how he just made love through music. That sounds sus as hell, but I don't know how else. He is just beautiful. He's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man and musician. Okay, I cannot glaze him enough. Yeah, both ways. Anyways, Peter Steele, type of negative carnivore, just the best bassist. My favorite work that he's done. It's really hard, but okay, yeah, probably Black number one. I mean, uh, Corpus Christi is also really good and up there too. And I do like his work on Carnivore too. At least the sounds of it. Angry Neurotic Catholics is up there too. But yeah, probably Black number one. That's my introduction, and yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop myself from rambling and make myself seem like a dumbass, and I'm just gonna stop this going forward. And thank you all for watching this. I know it's been a very, very long time since I last posted because, as I said, life's a bitch, man. Life sucks. You know, I'm not going to use my actual normal colorful language because I don't know what's allowed on YouTube anymore. You know, but anyways, yeah, going forward, whenever I get to my favorite guitarist and whenever I get to my favorite vocalist, I will be doing what's my favorite work of theirs. Or at least I'm gonna try to, because for the vocalist, there it gets really hard. But anyways, bye. That was so stupid. Why am I like this?